Come on in. Table for two. I'll have you seated over here.
The more Kagia withdrew into himself, the more obsessed I became in turn, thinking about him at all hours of the day and night. Then, one day... Ouch! I got distracted while I was cooking and accidentally cut my left index finger with a chef's knife. Oh boy. Watching the blood seep out from the cut, I was contemplating what to do when Kagia walked in from the dining hall with impeccable timing.
Poppet, can I get 2 Darjeelings, a cheddar cheesecake, and a slice of apple crumble for...
Oh, hi, Kagia. But before I could ask permission to step away from my post to patch myself up... Did the blood remind you of something? Kagia stumbled backwards, his face white as a sheet. His elbow bumped a bowl, which went clattering to the floor. Kagia? Tilting my head, I blinked at him. Then I realized he was staring directly at my finger. At the blood. Meanwhile, the bowl, which I'd been using to rest my dough, had now splattered its contents all over the floor.
Hey, what's going on in here?
Cinderella peeked in, summoned by the commotion.
You hurt yourself?
Yeah, a little. As soon as he took in the situation, he immediately intuited what was going on. He walked up and looked at me intently.
What's the order?
What?
The order! What were you making? Or do you not have one?
Oh, right. 2 Darjeelings, 1 cheddar cheesecake, and 1 apple crumble for table number 3.
Got it.
How'd you know it was for table number 3? And he set about brewing the tea without another word. Cinderella?
I'll take care of this, so go have Kagia patch you up. You can handle that, right, Kagia? Yeah.
Can you?
Sit right here.
Arriving at my room, Kagia wrapped my finger in the handkerchief I gave him.
Is it painful?
Nah.
Liar. You're hurt. Of course you'd feel pain.
And so Kagia silently administered first aid. He was quite skilled at it, as if he'd done it all countless times before.
Honestly, you'd be better off paying a visit to the hospital.
For a cut on my finger? For this tiny little cut? Nah, it'll heal up in no time. He averted his gaze, and I looked down at his left hand, where dozens of faint pink lines ran across his wrist. They were all centered on the same section of his arm, like an emblem of his suffering. But unlike the little nick on my finger, those scars weren't going to heal in an instant. Either they would fade with time, or quite possibly they would remain for the rest of his life.
Poppet, what can I do to make your life easier?
Where did that come from? He didn't answer. That's the kind of question you have to ask yourself.
Me?
Yeah. What is it you want to do for me?
Well,
What do you want to do, Kagia? If the answer is nothing, then I don't need you to do anything.
Well, I can't just do nothing.
I wanted to ask because you'll feel like you haven't earned the right to be here, but I held my tongue. In that case, I'll do something for you. I'll hug you. Still seated on the bed, I pulled Kagia into my arms. His breath brushed against my hair, and my heart welled with indescribable affection.
You always do so much for me.
He nuzzled his forehead against me, and it tickled slightly. Darn right. I'm your girlfriend, remember?
My girlfriend.
That's right. I'm the girl you're meant to hug and hold hands with.
But our girlfriends meant to hurt themselves.
As he spoke, he held up my hand and kissed the cut. Hurting yourself sure isn't fun, is it? Can you feel my pain?
Yeah, I feel it.
No. That night, we stepped out to go for a walk. As hard as I tried to keep Kagia from looking at the moon, it never seemed to stick.
Lovely moon tonight, isn't it, darling?
Yeah. His face and profile glowed beneath the moonlight. Beautiful, fragile, but most of all, melancholy.
Listen, Poppet. I'm not human. I reckon I'm actually a moon dweller.
Are you? Or is that a story you used to read when you were a kid and it like gives you comfort to think that? And then you just, when things get too far, you're like, I'm a moon dweller, I'm going to the moon, in which case I'm wiping my memories. I don't know how much of the moon dwelling thing is actually going to happen. Because this reality we're in is a mix of fantasy and modern and all kinds of shenanigery, so who knows, really? What?
How would you react if I said that to you?
Strangely enough, it was the same thing he said to me in that dream I had. Still think it's a memory. How would you react if Kagia was a moon dweller? Well, in keeping with the fairy tale, if I'm the emperor, and if I'm going to keep my promise to him from early on in the route, I'm going to keep him here on Earth. Do you remember the conversation we had a while back? I'd do everything in my power to keep you with me. I won't let anyone take you away. I'll fight every single moon dweller if I have to. Moon dwellers are beautiful, opulent people who never grow old and never have problems. Think about it. Can you really say that counts as true happiness?
Well...
He hesitated and looked away, but as I was waiting for him to find his answer... All of a sudden, something yanked my hair and I came to a stop. Confused, I turned to find that my hair had gotten caught on a tree branch. She took that a lot more calmly than I would have if I had had my head yanked back by a tree branch.
What's the matter?
My hair.
You're a bit hapless at times, aren't you, Poppet?
He laughed and shook his head at me. Sorry.
Hold still, yeah?
He reached out and started to untangle my hair from the branch. Okay.
There you are.
Thank you.
What would have happened if I wasn't with you? Would you simply be stuck there?
That and crying like a baby, probably.
Bet you're glad I was here to help, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Well then.
Now who?
Kaguya? Is that you?
Just then, a voice called out from behind. I whirled around to find a woman standing there, but this time it wasn't one of his exes.
Oh, I knew it was you. I can still recognize you even after all these years. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Everyone was really worried about you, you know, after everything that happened. They were afraid you might still feel guilty about it.
The moment she laid eyes on him, the woman smiled and started to speak fondly of the past. His past.
Pardon me, but...
As Kagia hesitated, I decided to speak up on his behalf.
Oh, right. Sorry to interrupt your conversation.
No, it's fine. So, you know Kagia?
Yes, I do. He used to stay at the facility where I worked.
Oh? Where was that?
It was an orphanage called the Bamboo House.
An orphanage? She pressed a hand over her mouth in an oops gesture.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Did I say something I shouldn't have?
All on his face. Kagia. I looked at Kagia to gauge his reaction, and found him grimacing with a hand clutching his forehead. Kagia?
My head!
He staggered sideways and collapsed on the spot. Man, he really just pass out.
Kagia!
I slid an arm around his shoulders and helped him into a sitting position. Clutching his head, Kaguya started to sweat bullets, his complexion ashen. And then...
Oh! 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 Oh!
Kaguya! Snap out of it, please! Kaguya! He's just screaming. Oh no, my poor boy!
Oh! Oh! Oh!
All at once he broke down. Nothing I said or did got through to him. He simply smacked my hands away and screamed to drown out whatever I said. Then eventually he lost consciousness completely. Oh no!
Why wasn't I good enough? What did I do to upset them? What did I do to disappoint them? What did I do to make them so miserable? What was I supposed to do?
Whoa. What is going on here? I don't even know what to make of that picture.
Even if I knew it was an impossible task, I still couldn't say no. After all, if I said no, they'd decide that I was useless. I was scared. Scared of getting yelled at, of getting punched, of being ignored, of being treated like a burden. All of it. I spent my whole life reading people. I spent my whole life smiling. But in the end, I couldn't accomplish a single one of their impossible tasks.
Oh. That got me. That line. Oof. Oof.
So they abandoned me. I had nowhere to belong. No one wanted me. Then one day, she told me that this world was tainted. So why not fly like a bird across the ocean to some place far, far away?
She told you?
An orphanage.
Yeah. According to the woman who used to work there, after Kaguya lost his parents, he got shuffled around from relative to relative until he ended up at their facility. Like, what's that story called? A series of unfortunate events. She said he was always cheerful and well-behaved. Never complained, never threw a tantrum.
Sounds like he hasn't changed much. Then how'd he end up with amnesia?
No idea. Apparently, he didn't have these symptoms when he lived there. But at some point after he moved in, there was an incident.
An incident?
One of the orphan girls jumped off the roof and took her own life. Damn! The turns we have taken in this route, suddenly. It keeps happening suddenly. I'm just like, what? And he witnessed the whole thing. Obviously, he wasn't the one who pushed her or anything like that. But the girl was a close friend of his, so her death was extremely traumatic for him. He started rejecting food and water until he was nothing but skin and bones. Was that the funeral that he was at? It wasn't his mom's funeral, it was a funeral at the orphanage? Is that what happened? Maybe not. Oh man, it's hard to know. Because it seemed like it was his relatives talking about him before. Which matched up. But sometime afterwards, Kagia left the orphanage, and the woman didn't know what happened to him after that. Did she fall to her death on the full moon, by any chance? Did they used to look at the moon together? I got so many questions. Gotcha. I imagine all of those things added up to the point that Kaguya's brain wanted to forget.
He forgot in order to protect his body and mind, so he wouldn't break.
Yeah.
If his memories are that traumatic, then maybe it's better we let them stay gone. For the record, if the guy's got nowhere else to go, then I don't mind keeping him here. Not like I ever had a use for these extra rooms. Plus, he's a good employee. You guys are fine with that, right?
I don't think it's a good idea to keep him here in his current state.
What? Why the hell not? You were the one who nagged me to let him stay in the first place. Or do you want to dump him at the hospital so you don't have to deal with him?
It's not that. I don't think he wants to be here. He's going to leave sooner or later. See, I kind of figured it out. I realized why he looks at the moon. And why it makes him sad. From his point of view, the world is tainted. Being here makes him lonely and miserable. So he yearns to go to the moon.
The ultimate escapist fantasy. But once he got up there, I guarantee he'd be bored out of his mind. Granted, I do get why he feels that way. Well, whatever. If you need anything, say the word and I'll get it for you.
Okay. Thank you, Cinderella. And with that, the two of them left my room. Oops. I went a little too far. I thought it got stuck, but it was just my heart. There we go. I stepped into Kaguya's room and sat down beside him. This is my first time seeing him asleep. So he does sleep sometimes. At least if he passes out. The expression on his face was perfectly peaceful, as though his earlier traumatic episode had never happened. I reached out and gently stroked his bangs. It was rare to see him without a smile plastered on his face. Only when he was asleep was he able to lower that shield. All this time, he never let anyone see the real him. I couldn't even begin to imagine how lonely he must have been. I knew these things, yet I forced that pain on him. The truth of the matter was, he never really wanted to remember. My gaze drifted to the exchange diary on his desk. I lifted myself up slightly, grabbed it, then sat back down and opened it. It's a little jumpsuit bunny.
Hello, Puppet. Lately, I've gotten into the habit of rereading all our old letters. It's fun to reflect on the past and reminisce about what was going on at the time. Originally, this was your idea, but these days I find myself looking forward to each new entry. Strange how letters work, isn't it? We're not speaking face to face, and yet we can still hold a conversation. It's easy to lie, and it's hard to read the other person's emotions. All I can do is imagine how you must have felt writing each word. It's new and different. Like you said, I'm a bit sensitive to other people's opinions. See, I'm always trying to read people. I use their facial expressions and behavior to determine what it is they're thinking at any given moment. But that doesn't work here. Whenever I read your letters, I imagine you smiling the way you always do. Would you say that's accurate? Another thing I notice rereading the letters. It feels like it's been ages since we started dating, But it hasn't been long at all, has it? A lot's happened since we first got together. That must be why it feels like it's been longer. Or maybe it's because I've got amnesia. If possible, I'd like to keep having these fun chats with you. Would it be too much to ask?
I feel you guys have been dating longer than you think. I feel... that's why you're like, man, it feels like it's been ages. Your heart knows. Your heart knows.
Hello, Puppet. I'm sorry for stressing you out like I have been. I don't need you to do anything for me. You already do so much. I'd feel guilty adding to your plate. All I can really do in return is wake up early and finish our daily tasks ahead of you. But if I do that, I'll have stolen all your work, and there won't be any left for you. Tricky, innit? I can never seem to repay you. This is the problem I'm struggling with the most as of late.
No, Rabbit.
Hello, Puppet. Thank you for spending another day trying to help me with my memories. You already have to work in the mornings and afternoons, and now I'm stealing your nights as well. I'm sorry. Don't worry so much about me. Just look after yourself and get some rest. I'll be fine. I'm sorry you've had to suffer because of me, Puppet. I'm your boyfriend, and yet all I seem to do is hurt you. It's not fun to see the person you love having fun with other people. I get that. Maybe it's not very convincing coming from an amnesiac, but believe me when I say this, I only love you. Every girl is sweet and lovely in her own way, but you're the cutest of them all, and I adore you. It's just... at this point, I can't help but wonder, if I do get my memories back, what will happen to these feelings I have? I don't care if I disappear. I'm just worried about leaving you behind.
Over the course of many entries, Kagia had written, "I'm sorry," countless times. Every apology from him made my chest tighten. I picked up a pen and started to recount my feelings on the paper. And by the time I finished writing, Kagia's dark eyelashes started to flutter. So I closed the diary and put it back where I found it.
Puppet, what happened to me?
Back in the waking world, Kagia slowly opened his eyes. "Oh, Kagia, thank goodness." His eyes were empty and unseeing at first, but then they gradually regained their light.
Oh, now I remember. We ran into someone who used to know me, and while she was talking, my head started hurting. I did my best to try to remember, but it seems it didn't work.
Kagia's lips curled in their usual smile. Likewise, I donned a false smile of my own. As he lay there, I leaned in and drew my lips to his ear. "You don't have to smile anymore."
What?
I gently laid a hand over Kagia's eyes and pressed my lips to his. Oh yeah, I learned that trick from Cinderella, didn't you? Only a few weeks had passed since I first met him and agreed to be his girlfriend. And only now had I come to understand him as a person. And continue to rob me of kiss CGs! What is with this route? We've had like at least three! At least three! Not one! What are you hiding, game? What are you hiding? What are you planning for the ultimate kiss CG? My goodness. After that, I stayed at his bedside at all times to care for him. "Kagia! Open wide!" I blew on a spoonful of piping hot porridge, then brought it to his lips.
This is a bit cringy, isn't it?
Oh, shush. I'm your girlfriend, so just let me. And with that, I slid the porridge into his mouth. Because I knew if I didn't do this, Kagia wouldn't eat, period.
Lovely. That's my puppet's cooking, all right.
Though I told him he didn't have to smile, he showed no signs of stopping. But I didn't press him on it. Instead, I decided to let him be. I needed to make all the right moves at all the right times, or else checkmate was imminent. Thanks, Yurika. Thanks for reminding me about the 14 bad endings. As my gaze drifted from Kagia to the exchange diary, he perked up.
Right, that. Sorry I've stopped writing. Would it be alright if I held on to it a bit longer?
Oh, I don't mind. Feel free to write back whenever you want.
Sorry.
For what?
Well, I've done nothing but cause trouble for you.
What trouble? Me blowing on your porridge for you? That's no trouble at all. If anything, I'm actually enjoying it. He laughed weakly.
Not that. I meant a stranger like me staying here and you having to look after me.
My smile faded. His did not. Fighting to keep my voice level, I asked, "Do you have your memories back?"
No.
Okay, then. To tell the truth, there were times that I suspected he might remember more than he was letting on. Granted, even if he didn't, after talking to those 5 women, it was obvious what happened to him and how he felt about it. He was emotionally devastated, and it was having adverse effects on his physical health. And I was the one who orchestrated it all. I shut my eyes for a moment, then opened them once more. Dating is kinda weird, huh?
What?
His eyes widened slightly in surprise. I mean, the concept in general. We're 2 total strangers. All that connects us is physical and emotional attraction. We have no blood ties, and yet it feels like we're almost family. Don't you think? Oh no, don't you start that again, Yurika. We're not going back down that road, not even a little. I decided to keep going. Kagia, who am I to you?
My girlfriend.
Sanatori! I shot him the finger guns. Which means it's okay to lean on me when you need to. It's okay to ask for help. You're allowed to have needs. I'm your girlfriend. It's what I'm here for. I smiled at him, and he smiled back. But I could tell it was fake. I would do anything, whatever it took to heal him. I just didn't know what he needed.
How is he?
As I cleared away the dishes, a voice called out to me from behind. Oh, hi, Cinderella. I toweled off my hands and turned to face him. He's not out of the woods quite yet. He insists he's fine, but he gets massive headaches whenever he stands or sits upright. The problem is, he keeps trying to do it anyway, which worries me. He seems to think he owes us some kind of labor in order to deserve to live here.
Gotcha.
Cinderella, was I wrong to do this? I wanted him to get his memories back, and as a result, I hurt him. I say I'm acting in his best interests, and yet I'm only making him suffer. Am I just arrogant?
Couldn't tell you. That's the kind of question you gotta ask him.
Right.
Just don't work yourself sick, alright?
He patted me on the head. Thanks. I won't. Thanks. I heard the creak of the floorboards and looked up to find Kagia standing on the stairs. Kagia! You shouldn't be out of bed! I rushed over to his side, but he moved away.
I'm fine.
Then he awkwardly averted his gaze. Huh?
Seriously, man, don't force yourself if you're not feeling up to it. Just get some rest.
Cinderella walked up beside me. Kaguya met his gaze and stared back fixedly. Don't you do this either, Kaguya! You're not setting me up with my old boo! Sheesh.
You're a proper stand-up bloke, you know that.
What? I mean, yeah, totally. Where did that come from?
It was an invitation for Kaguya to continue the conversation, yet he made no attempt to do so. He was smiling, but the light in his eyes was wavering, like he had something more he wanted to say. Wait, what? Grab Cinderella's arm or grab Kaguya's arm? Why? Oh, are we doing the jealousy thing? Is that what we're doing, guys? Guys, are we doing the jealousy thing? Oh no. Alright. So, do I want to make Kaguya jealous, or am I like doubling down on I've chosen him? He doesn't have to worry about that sort of thing? Okay, so the last time this happened was with the regular. And that's one of the few times Kaguya's, like, acted quote-unquote out of character and acted on his own desires and wants. Are we trying to get him to do that again? I mean, he did just come down and see Cinderella giving Yurika head pats. So maybe because of the direction that was going, the game wants us to lean into that some more? Because he saw it, ran away, was like, yoink, and then it's like, hi Cinderella, you're a great bloke and things. So maybe the play is to grab his arm. Both of them are just shocked. Look, I'm testing a theory, okay, guys? Cinderella. I grabbed his arm. What was I doing, you ask? Well, being the worst girlfriend. Kaguya's behavior towards Cinderella had given me a new hypothesis, and now I was testing it. Literally what I just said. I have a theory. Cinderella's like, what? Why are you touching my arm? Cinderella seemed to intuit what I was angling for. His expression softened, and he put a hand on my head. We're really doing this, huh? We're really doing this. I mean, let's just keep going. Just then... Ooh, it worked!
Don't touch her!
Kaguya grabbed Cinderella's wrist and pulled his hand away from me. Kaguya? He gasped and whirled back to face me. His expression slowly twisted into a pained grimace. His usual smile was gone, and now the true Kaguya was unmasked.
That's odd. Why did I do that? I apologize. It wasn't my intention.
He quickly tried to smooth things over, but he seemed genuinely confused at his own emotional outburst because his smile was stiff and awkward.
What was that about?
Oh, well...
I donned a smiling mask of my own to conceal my true intentions. You don't look well. I really think you need to rest. I grabbed him by the arm insistently.
Oh!
I'll take you back to your room now.
Right. Reckon I'll take you up on that. Sorry, Cinderella.
He inclined his head slightly. But his voice was tinged with the faintest hint of joy. Okay. I don't know what's happening. I'm a little worried. But, We're gonna keep going, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Aren't you sleepy?
No.
When we arrived back at Kaguya's room, we sat down side by side on the bed. Kaguya's hand was gently resting on mine.
Cinderella's a good man, yeah? He's handsome and generous and considerate.
Maybe you should date him instead. Yeah, Cinderella's a great guy. What brought this on?
Nothing really.
The warmth of his hand was swiftly replaced by empty air. I took that as my cue to rise to my feet.
Poppet!
I glanced back and our eyes met. Yes?
It's nothing.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know if you need anything.
All right.
This is mean. This is so mean. Phew. Out in the hall, I let out a breath. Just then, I heard the door open one room down. Alice? Then I saw dirty dishes slide out from the gap, and... What are you doing? Yahoo? Yahoo to you too. Yahoo! I pulled the door open further and Alice fell flat on his face. Oops! Sorry! I crouched down to help him up. On second thought, just drop him. You goddamn gorilla! Ow! He leapt to his feet and karate chopped me as hard as he could. You don't have to hit me that hard, you jerk! I'm a fragile flower! Not cool, Alice. Grumbling, I clutched my throbbing head.
Still trying to play the victim. I see you haven't learned a thing. Newsflash, you're the villain here, you dunderhead!
Dunderhead? Sometimes he whips out some really vintage insults.
God, you're the worst. When you saw the door open, surely you should have figured that my hand was on the knob. But instead, you chose to yank it open, and thanks to that I got to play kissy face with the floor. What, were you homeschooled or something? Or did they not teach you deductive reasoning in special ed?
As someone who was homeschooled, I take offense to that, sir.
Ha! Giving me the cold shoulder, are you? You're always so petty. Would it kill you to apologize and let me save face?
I think it's a little late to save your face after that nasty fall.
Ha ha ha! Thanks for that wonderfully unfunny joke. As a reward, I'll cast a curse on your relationship.
Please, no! Anything but that! I clasped my hands together, beseeching him.
You must really want things to work out with him.
Well,
Unable to be together, the prince and princess part ways. A tragic tale with no happy ending in sight.
Alright, well, now he's just transcended. He's like, my true role. You're helping me instead of Kagia this time? Tragic?
Of course. Granted, the reader might find it beautiful in its own way, but the reader's opinion has no bearing on the characters within the story, and they would most certainly find it tragic.
Right. Personally, I'd do everything in my power to make him stay, no matter what it took.
How disgustingly possessive of you.
Is being possessive really that bad?
Are you suggesting it could, in any way, be a good thing?
It's just a human desire, like any other. But the problem is, I'm out of time. Sometimes time is what solves problems. But time is limited, and you never know when you'll run out.
You only have a week left until the next full moon.
I know.
I guess we'll see what you're made of.